morning, Westeros!
And welcome to our Morning Throners podcast.
I'm Nelson.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Glove.
We're the fucking Morning Throners. And everybody, welcome back to another episode of Morning Throners podcast. And here we are at the end of it all. Our watch has ended.
And now our watch has ended.
Damn.
The end of Season 8. Where do we go from here? That's the big question. So, if you guys are anything like me, you're kind of wondering where this whole thing's rolling. But some cool things are, we're going to keep rolling with the Morning Throners podcast. Nelson, you want to talk about what the future entails for us?
Yeah, so right now we're going to talk about episode 6. We're definitely going to have some overall season stuff in here because we're not going to be able to help it. But we are going to do a separate episode in the middle of the week about just the overall season 8 and maybe like the whole show, the show as a whole, right? They're also coming out with that documentary, I think, next week about the making of this season. And I don't know if you guys have been watching it, but they kind of been putting out little makings of each episode on YouTube afterwards. Some of those are pretty freaking cool. So depending on how that documentary is, we might make a podcast specific to that.
Yeah. And we always want to remind you guys that we're on Spotify. We're the first on Spotify.
Yeah, we'll be on Spotify for any other Game of Thrones podcast out there. It's a little late to be telling you guys this because this is the last one, but we'll be there first thing tomorrow morning, Monday morning when you're on your way to work. Yeah. So after we do those two podcasts, the main reason we wanted to start this thing in the first place was we're all huge book fans. So the plan is to go through all the chapters of Song of Ice and Fire, chapter by chapter. I know a lot of you guys, if you're only show fans, you're probably itching for a little bit more Game of Thrones. I know there's a petition with like close to 1 million signatures on it for a different ending. Well, guess what? If you want a different ending, read the books. It's going to be freaking awesome. I'm hyped. So there might be, if you guys are into potentially, I know it's a big commitment, but we're going to be going slow with these podcasts. If you want to read the books and have podcasts to listen to, check us out. There's also 3 short stories that George R. R. Martin wrote. I'm thinking we might want to do those first. They're a lot more manageable. Each short story is like a 2-hour read, and they're some of my favorite books. I've read them all. Neither of these guys have. So that might be something we're into too. Check those out if you want a little bite-sized Game of Thrones now that the show's over. But all right, with that, let's just get right into what we thought of the episode. Little knee-jerk reactions. Jeff, what do you think?
All right, so I'm going to lead off by saying I completely understand how tough it would be for these guys to come up with the ending and satisfy everybody. It's just impossible. We talk about it with Star Wars a lot, especially after The Last Jedi, and that we didn't get any history with Snoke, and we didn't get Rey's parents and ended up being nobodies. How hard it has to be, and then you take a story that's even grander with all the characters. So, now I'll go into it. I'm not happy. I'm kind of up in the air with... I think the episode was okay. I don't like the ending, per se, but I understand that it's an ending. It's one of the possible things that could have happened. Is it the coolest one? Probably not. Was there some really cool things that we could talk about through it? Is it something that, it could have happened, you know what I mean? Like,
I think it's a Game of Thrones ending, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to be... It's a bittersweet ending. I mean, there's some good stuff, there's some bad stuff. It
is a Game of Thrones ending.
Imagine if Game of Thrones ends after season 1. Ned Stark, the main character, dead. Everybody's in a bad spot. And I get, like, that's not meant to be the end of a show, but, like, there's never a point in Game of Thrones when you're like, oh, this is, like... If the show ended right now, this would be happy. The whole point is, like, shit's fucked up, and, like, power corrupts people. I think that's, like, the point of the show. George R. R. Martin's a very big anti-war guy. So, like, you see that a lot in the books, and I think the show kind of, when he gives them the outline, like, here's where it's going. The point is, like, I think George R. R. Martin basically probably told him, Dany goes crazy. Yeah. She goes power crazy and kills a lot of people, and Bran becomes the king of everything. I could see him telling her that, and while I don't like the ending here in the show, I think they could have done it better with that. With, like, if George R. R. Martin gives them that, here's how it ends. Yeah. The way they got there, I don't know about. Right. In the books, if that's the way it ends, I'm hyped. Because Bran sucks in the show. Jeff's so right. But Bran in the books is kind of a badass.
Yeah, exactly. He could definitely be fucking
Well,
Yeah.
here's the thing: we really don't know what Bran's going to be like as the three-eyed raven.
Yeah,
yet.
like he's just getting
he
there
could
in the
be
books.
fucking weird as shit in the books too.
Yeah,
we
you're
have
right.
no idea.
He's definitely gonna be weird as shit, though. He's definitely gonna be
But
weird.
I was
Nah.
wondering how they. I mean, obviously it was going to end something like this, where the world continued, right? It just was about who was going to be there in the end, and where were they going. And I think just a quick overview: Arya going west of Westeros was cool. I don't really understand why Sansa and the North split up, and Bran is just a fucking douchebag to be the king, and that's where I'm going to leave it as my knee jerk reaction. And I think I'll just stay there.
All right, give it a rating.
8-2.
Okay.
I mean, like Jeff said, piggyback off him. I mean, it is tough to come up with an ending for the show, especially when they don't have the full story behind it. But I mean,
yeah, I mean they're trying to create, like, George probably obsessed over this storyline for a really long fucking time. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah,
since he started writing in 1991.
1991.
Almost.
And
20
America, the world, forced these two writers to write it in 3
It's been
years.
almost 30 years. Fuck.
yeah, exactly.
So all the fucking shit that he thought to put in this, all the fucking details, they didn't have time. One, they didn't have time to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
so I think.
I give it a 7-8.
Okay, I think the episode was. There's some things that really pissed me off, so I can't. I'm not. It's definitely not a 9. I'm thinking you guys are probably right around the mark. I'm gonna give it an 8, a flat 8, 8.0.
Rookie score.
Sometimes you gotta hit that. Sometimes you gotta hit the 0.0 if it deserves it. You can't be going 0.1 or 0.9 just because you don't want to go rookie score.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Again, I like the episode, but there's a couple things that make no sense. First off, Arya shows up at the very beginning. Where's the fucking horse? Like, everybody's making a big deal about this horse last episode. Where's the fucking what was the point of
no
that?
horse at all.
So we're about to get into it chronologically, but just like little things like that like make no sense for no reason. Like, you didn't have to make them make no sense.
Right.
That is what pissed me off about it. That's why I'm giving it the 8.0. I think from where they were at the end of the last episode, it was a great way to wrap up.
Yeah, I agree. It's an ending. It's an ending that works and it fits. A lot of the stuff is probably us as fans looking too far into things, looking too far into the white horse, looking too far into I don't even know, just random shit like that changes. Oh, that matters now. That matters. And no, it didn't. But then again, why have a 3-minute
thing with the white horse
thing
if
with
it's
the
not
white
going to
horse?
matter.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So another thing that I want to point out to this is everybody's freaking out. There's like a huge petition to get new writers and redo the last episode. Like, that's ridiculous. Okay.
Yeah, come on. Like,
and one thing is, I think part of the reason that a lot of people are so disappointed is because we've had 2 years to get hype and come up with theories. One of my buddies from work is watching this show, but he just started. He's only on he's almost to the Red Wedding, I think. And he's going to be able to just roll through and binge watch all of it. You know, it's going to be like he never watched anything live. It's going to be a great ending for him.
Yeah.
He's not going to have time to think about the Dothraki rushed in, because he's going to just be right on from Battle of Winterfell right to episode 4. If we would have been rolling and watching all these back to back, fucking awesome, right?
We could have a different, and that's what I think I said it last podcast, or I might have said it when we were just bullshitting, but I wish I didn't watch this one live. I watched everyone else where I'm just, what the fuck's happening next? Kind of like how you read the book. You're not worried about the details of it. You just want to see what's next. What's next?
Exactly.
And when you get to slow down and look for, you have shit now that you want to happen.
Yeah.
Now, you've almost set a cancer in your mind for the storyline. And I think that's what happened to a lot of people. I think that's what happened this season.
Yeah.
Is it was too much time passed.
And also, people are getting mad that what they wanted. I feel like the biggest complaint is what I want didn't happen. I wanted Dany to be a good queen and win. That's not what this is about. People wanted Ned Stark to not die episode 9 of season 1.
It's not always what you want. I mean,
and if say Dany conquers I think I mentioned this last week, but say Dany comes in, Battle of the Bells, lands, and then once they've won, the Lannisters throw down the swords, and she stops. Say she stops, she becomes what do we even do in this episode? Everybody needs the Dany. There's nothing to do.
That would have been the end. They would have had the scene at the table. Danny would have been like, all right, let's begin. And
Exactly.
that's how it would have, kind of like how season 7 is that 7 or 6 ended?
It might be 6.
Season 6, let's begin. Like, it would have been some bullshit like that. And it would
That's
been...
that's the first episode of season 7 when she first gets the Dragonstone.
Okay.
But
yeah.
exactly, like, nobody wants that. Like, there's got to be it's all about conflict, and like people. Yeah. And George R. R. Martin says this in every interview he's ever done. The only thing worth writing about is the human heart and the conflict with itself. And that's what this episode is. That it's Tyrion seeing Jaime and being like, "Fuck, I hate," and Cersei. Like, I've hated this woman my whole life, but I'm the last Lannister now, right? Yeah. Like, she's so fucked up, but she deserves. Like, I don't know. Like, he wanted them to get away. John, I love Dany, but she is so bad for the kingdoms. The human heart in conflict with itself. I mean, if Dany wins, there's no conflict. It's like she's pure good. John's pure good. Some people are pure bad.
You could see. I think they did a pretty good job of showing
Love is
the conflict.
Death of duty. I like that.
Yeah, great line. That was a great line.
I love that callback.
That was a great line.
And I think it was a great job of showing how much John was struggling with what he had to do.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into chronologically because we're probably recovering some stuff.
Just let's hit Deathpool quick.
Deathpool. The only
Danny
person.
died.
Danny. Glow
1
gets a
point to Glow.
Woo!
Me and Glow tied for second.
Really?
I think so. I don't have the totals with me. But,
Let's go.
All right. Nelson wins. We'll get you a bottle.
Woo! Get some whiskey.
Whiskey.
All right. Well, I got it up right now. We're not gonna go like show speed, but I'll just go through. Starts off Tyrion walking through. So also, is this ashes? Is this snow? This has to be ashes, right?
It looks like snow, though.
It looks too white to be snow, but there's not. It's not even snowing.
I think a lot of it right now is ashes, but when John goes and walks the Drogon,
I think it's all
white.
supposed
that
to be
snow.
ashes. And at first this was confusing me, like how are ashes still falling? But I guess it was really fucked up, and also a lot of shit is still on fire. Like you can see it in this opening scene, like shit's still burning, so ashes would still be falling. But it does look a little bit too white.
I mean,
to be
you think
ash.
about how close. Yeah, I think at some point it has to become a mix. It's way too white, especially when we see Drogon laying down. But if you think about how close this city was built, that shit was just going to burn.
So
until
it starts off with Tyrion walking in,
in,
and they see the body of the lady with the horse that Arya watched burn. And John says, like, Tyrion goes to walk, and he's like, "You stay here," and John's like, "It's not safe." What do you think he means by that? Like, it's not safe to walk through this burning city, or our fucking queen is a lunatic now. You should not be with her alone.
Yeah, that's exactly what he was talking
what I
about.
thought.
So Hickey, one of the guys I watched with, give him a shout out. He had a good call when Tyrion's walking up. Hickey said that when he saw the dead bodies, he thought he was going to take the hand of the pin off and throw it. He does it a little later, and I really like that part. But that's a good call by Hickey. Give him a little shout out for that. So real quick, they show that body of the lady with the horse.
Yeah.
And then they show Arya. Like, they remind us about the horse, and then they show Arya not on the horse. We talked about it earlier.
Yeah.
But so here's another scene that is why I'm definitely giving it, like, this is a way higher score for me, except for this one scene. When Jon comes up on Grey Worm about to kill all these people. This is the least Jon Snow thing Jon Snow's ever done. Jon Snow would fight to the death here for prisoners. If he thought that they didn't deserve to die, he would have fought and died right here. I don't like that he is just letting Grey Worm kill these people. He would not do that.
He would have kept fighting. Maybe not have physically fought, but he wouldn't have given in. He would have said, "Let's take these prisoners to Daenerys now,
exactly,
and
like,
she'll decide there."
He does not let this happen. This really pissed me off. This is like one of the least Jon Snow things I've ever seen Jon Snow do. Glow? As a resident Jon Snow fan, what do you think about it?
You're so right, man. I mean, I thought it was bullshit. You gotta stop the killing, man. That Jon Snow would not let that happen. He would bring Daenerys down or bring them up to Daenerys, like you guys said, and say, "Hey, are you gonna kill these men?" Like this.
And even if Grey Worm says, "I'm not taking them to Daenerys. We're settling this here," I think he would rather one versus all those Unsullied. He would do that.
Well, he had the Northmen too, though. So start a war for him.
I'll say this now: Grey Worm's a douchebag.
Yeah,
Grey Worm became
a big
doucher.
I think he did a great job of portraying the flip.
Yeah.
When Missandei's dead,
right? He has a reason to have flipped, but he became a big douchebag.
Well, so again, maybe I'm reading too far into it, but I feel like this is probably what they were going for. That Unsullied are just mindless killing machines. They have no feelings. Right. They do exactly what they're told. Reckless, like they'll kill people in cold blood. They do the kind of shit he does here. Grey Worm, over the course of the season, being so close to Missandei, loses that.
Right.
And he becomes more human. She's dead. He is back to full Unsullied like the day Danny just bought him.
Yeah.
He does not give a fuck. He would pull baby from its mom and stab it in the face. Like, he doesn't give a fuck anymore.
No doubt.
I really like that transformation.
Yeah, I think it makes sense, too. It stayed true. And this is what I was going to say. It kept going. Tyrion's still walking through. Tyrion wasn't going to see Daenerys. That's why he didn't want any help. I didn't think about it at first, but...
Yeah, when it was happening, I was like, oh, that's why he didn't want people with him.
And the other crazy part is when he gets down there, a lot of it's in pretty good shape.
Yeah. Like, if they would have stood, like... If they would have stood, like, 30 feet to the left, they would have been fine. Yeah, so...
The whole fucking thing came down, and
I mean, I get the point of it. Again, like, this is the kind of thing I can overlook because they did it for the scene, right? They wanted Tyrion to find their bodies, and it's hard to do that if you have the actual.
And you
rubble.
were talking about if you watch the behind the scenes snippets that they put in. I watched season 5's. They pretty much built a city.
Episode 5's, yeah, they built like a 3x3 block city.
Yeah, so that's why a lot of it's the same shot of like that main street and some alleyways, and
they built the gate where Missandei gets her head cut off. They built that, but it was in the middle of.
Go, you definitely need to check it out. It's awesome.
Yeah, but they said so. They built that, but they built it near the studio because they wanted to be able to access it. But because of that, when they did the scene of Missandei getting her head cut off, they couldn't put Missandei on the thing because people were always just like had telescopes zoomed in, right?
Yeah.
So they had Cersei in the mountain up there,
around and shit.
And 100% of the Missandei part was filmed on a green screen and put in later.
No way.
Because they didn't want people to know that Cersei was going to kill Missandei, so she was never actually up on that thing.
Oh my god.
It's crazy the shit. So people they dig on the show, and again, most of the stuff that they dig on is the writing, the acting, the directing. It's all fucking awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, it's crazy the shit that this show does.
Yeah.
To get the shots.
Unbelievable.
It's amazing.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So we get the scene. What you got, Glow? What do you think about the scene where Tyrion sees Jaime and Cersei?
I mean, it's definitely emotional. He basically sent his family to death. He's fucking.
Yeah. So there was I don't know if any of you guys saw it, but there was a big theory that Jaime survived. Did any of you guys see that?
I heard it because he didn't get interviewed as a dead character.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah.
There's the guy who interviews every dead character, and people tweeted at him like, "Why didn't you interview Jaime?" And he says, "Oh, I'm saving that one." And a lot of people thought that meant that he was still alive. And also, like, when Cersei dies, everybody's tweeting at Lena Headey, the actress for Cersei, like, "It was such a great job doing that, like playing, like acting with you. You're a great actress." But nobody did it for Nikolai Coster-Waldau, who plays Jaime. And I think it's not because he was living, but because like his death scene wasn't up yet, you know? Like, Ygritte dies at the Battle of the Wall, but she has, like, the part where Jon burns her body. Like, that's kind of when we say goodbye to the character.
Yeah.
So I think that's the reason.
When this happened, that there was a shot, and his hand would just be a hand, and there was nothing else there, and that they got out of that little sliver in the wall.
I 100% thought the same thing, that it was... Tyrion was going to lift up bricks and they weren't going to be there. There was a couple times
crazy. There
was a couple times in this episode where they really surprised me.
Yeah.
Right? When Jon, we'll get to it. When Jon and Dany this is one of them. I thought Jaime had lived. When I saw the hand, I was like, no, it's just going to be the hand.
Right.
I think Hickey said that too. And then when Jon hugs Dany, I was thinking like this would be a very Game of Thrones ending if Dany
he
lives,
becomes the king.
If she becomes the king, and it's kind of how Game of Thrones started. Like Aegon the Conqueror did the same shit.
Yeah.
I was like, this could be a Game of Thrones ending if they end up if Jon just agrees to be with her now.
And kills and then you Tyrion and shit like that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof.
So we'll get to it, but that's another...
Yeah, but that would not be a Jon Snow move, though, like we talked about earlier.
But you saw how conflicted he was, though. It could definitely have happened.
And he stopped doing Jon Snow stuff, like with the Grey Worm thing.
True.
So... I think this was one of the best scenes what's up next is one of the best scenes is when Arya walks through and she sees Jon walking up the steps to Dany, and all the Dothraki are going nuts, and the Unsullied are all lined up there. This is very Nazi Hitler.
Yes, with the big banner in the background.
Snoke or who is it? Kylo on the Super Death Star.
Whatever it's called now.
The Sun Death Star or whatever.
I feel like that's just an image of power now. Is just big ass steps, a banner behind you.
It's gotta be red
and white and black.
This
colors.
was definitely a call out to Hitler, to like Nazi Hitler type type shit. Like
Yeah, people
when
think...
she starts speaking a foreign language and everybody's like going crazy for her. And also when the dragon flies overhead and she lands and she's walking up and the wings come out and it looks like she has wings. Yeah. That was an awesome fucking shot.
Yeah, that was sweet. That was a sweet shot.
Yeah, so John walks up the stairs.
I never thought John was walking up the stairs, too. Like, when you see it in the promos, it just looks like she's going to walk out. But the fact that her and John are walking up and then John just kind of walks away to the side.
Yeah.
I expected a little bit of, communication there, but it's okay. I think it's better that she could just go off on her kind of tyrannish speech.
Hitler speech.
Yeah. And about breaking tyrants, but you kind of...
And there's a part later when Jon's talking to Tyrion, he's like, well, the war's over now. Jon says that. And Tyrion says, the speech that she just gave sound like she was saying the war's over.
Yeah.
And there's a part where she literally says, the war is not over. Like, we will liberate from Winterfell to Dorne, from Lannisport to Karth. So she's saying, like, we're going to keep fucking people up. And I think this is I think one of the biggest arguments after the last episode was Dany has never, like, had a hint of being a mad queen before. Like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, she has.
And I think Tyrion just lists everything that she did.
And this speech kind of calls back to, like, what Glow said. Like, yeah, she has. She told the Dothraki, you're going to kill all these people in their iron suits. You're going to tear down their stone houses. She's like, you gave me what you promised me with fire and blood. Like she said she was going to take it. You know?
Yeah. No, I mean, when you lay it out, what she did along the way, she was kind of fucked up. I mean, it's fucked up things, but we were behind her because they were the right...
Fucked up people,
and...
Exactly what they say
we were
in the
rooting
show.
for her. Right.
Yeah, it's exactly what Tyrion says later when he's talking to Dany. But this is the part, so she's saying the war's not over, all that shit I was just saying, and Tyrion walks up to her while she's done talking, she's letting the crowd cheer, and Tyrion walks up to her.
Yeah. She looks like she's looking out, and she just sees victory. And you can't look out over that rubble and feel victory.
Oh, wait, first of all, how does she have so many Unsullied and Dothraki?
CGI.
I think I sent you guys a Snapchat or something. It was like, there was a patch. It was like people patched Game of Thrones Season 8. It was like, Dothraki and Unsullied get instant respawns. Yeah. like Scorpions got nerfed. Drogon got stealth buff. Like, it's kind of again, like some of that stuff I can look over because it's like TV magic. And
we never knew how many she had. It was really... The Khalasar she took over was like 100,000 people.
Yeah, theoretically, but what
we just never saw that many.
So Tyrion walks up to Dany and she says, like, you committed treason, you freed your brother, and he's like, yep, I freed my brother, but you slaughtered an entire city.
It's a good quote.
Tyrion, this is a great episode for Tyrion.
Yeah,
this is like back to season 3, season 4 Tyrion.
This is really good Tyrion.
And he takes the hand thing off and just throws it down the thing, and you can just see Dany's eyes. She's like, if she could breathe fire right now, Tyrion would be dead. And she doesn't even say anything. The Unsullied just automatically like stop.
Well, like one stops, and then the next person picks it up, and then they're like, "Oh shit, stop!"
Yeah, it's kind of like when you're like, "Here we go, Eagles, here we go," and you never know when to stop. Like sometimes you're that asshole who does it one more time when everybody else has stopped. Like there's probably that one Unsullied who like, yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, so he gets taken, and he gives Jon that look, and you just know that Tyrion and Jon are gonna be. And you know the whole time Tyrion's thinking like, fuck, Varys was right.
And this is where I will defend Daenerys a little bit. I do not think she is a mad queen. I don't think she's deluded. Mad. I don't think she's crazy. I just think she's like, this is how it's got to be.
She's deluded.
Which might be crazy in a sense, but she has a belief of what needs to be done. And we don't even know what her next plan was going to be. If it was going to go burn down Winterfell. It could have been like, let's just govern. But Jon just wasn't leaving that chance up to chance.
No chance at it.
And me being a Daenerys backer, I'm going to say she would have been okay in the future if they just figured it out.
And Jon kind of says that too. Yeah. Jon kind of says that too. I think the reason Jon does this is for Arya and Sansa. Because even if Daenerys is a pretty good ruler, those two aren't making it out alive. She knows that
No,
that
'cause
those two are
Sansa's
always going to be a liability.
Because Sansa would have been like, no, we're our own entity. We'll be fine.
Yeah. So so that's the part. Like, speaking of those two, this is when Arya comes up and like sneaks up on Jon, and I love it. He's watching Dany, and she says something, and he just like turns. He's like, "How the hell did you get here?
Yeah, he's like,
what are you
what
doing?"
the fuck?
Yeah.
Freak.
So her just being super sneaky again, and she basically just gives everybody's just giving Jon a warning. Like, this lady is crazy. You got to go figure out what's going on here. And I bet you Jon right now wants to do nothing more than what he does at the end of the show, and just be like, "Fuck, I want to go hang out with her. Like, just get me out of here." She's like, "I want to be a wildling. I don't want to deal with this bullshit."
Do any of this shit?
Exactly. So this is when he comes and sees Tyrion, and this is the best scene in the.
Probably the most important scene.
One of my favorite. I really like the scene in the Dragon Pit at the end. But
a little
this is a great one
comical
too. So
relief.
Jon walks in, and first thing Tyrion says, "Did you bring any wine?"
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
just like a great way to just start off. And Tyrion just says to Jon, he's like, "I'm not going to be around long. Our queen doesn't seem to be keeping prisoners around." And then this is where he tells Jon, like, "Now Varys' ashes can tell my ashes. I told you so." And he's just like right back to like again. I miss Varys. Varys is the man. So one thing I wonder about when he was talking about Varys is later in the Dragon Pit, all the lords of the Seven Kingdoms are there. We even get fucking Robin Arryn back.
Yeah.
Right?
Let's leave that out.
We will, but hold on. So did they not get the letter that Jon is the rightful king? Like Varys sent those out to people.
I don't think he did.
Okay, because I was wondering, like, do they know Jon who he is?
I don't understand why.
I don't know why they don't bring it up.
Brings
They
that
didn't bring it up at all.
that point. But again,
Yeah.
let's leave that for later.
Yeah. Maybe he never got the letters out. Nobody knows, and Sansa didn't tell anybody.
Come on, half the people that knew were in that fucking meeting.
Sansa and Arya and Bran.
And Sam and Bran.
You're right. So one thing Tyrion says to Jon here that I really like is like, well, there's only one. You're the only man who knows about where I'm going. Talking about death.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Is there anything there?" And Jon's like, "Not that
I
I
know
know."
Not that I've
And
seen.
he's like, "Well, I guess Oblivion." So I guess Oblivion's the best I can hope for. After I like strangled Shay and killed my own father, and then Tyrion's like, "You can't let her be in charge," and he's like, "I know I can't justify what she did, but the war's over now." Kind of to Jeff's point, Jon's like, "The war's over. Like, even though she did fucked up shit to get here, we won, and it's probably not going to be fucked up
Forever.
in the future."
And that's where Tyrion's like, "Did you just hear her? Like, come on, man. She's talking about war, man."
What do you
Exactly.
think was going through Jon's head? Because he doesn't know any Valyrian or Dothraki. He's
Yeah,
just
neither
like,
does Jon. Neither does
oh
Tyrion.
my.
Well, Tyrion is like
Tyrion
obviously
knows
pretty
some
bad.
Valyrian.
Well, he's pretty bad after we saw him talk to the
But
Unsullied.
I think he could probably, maybe, I
But
guess
it's
doesn't know
like listening and
Dothraki
reading is
at
a little
all.
bit different.
But I like this because people's complaint about last episode is like, "Oh, there's no evidence that Dany's gone Mad Queen before," and Tyrion says it right here. He's like, "There is kind of evidence. Like, she burned the slavers of Astapor." He's like, "Nobody cared then because they were evil people." He's like, "She burned the cows and the Khalazar, and nobody cared because they were gonna do worse than her." And he's kind of saying like, she just burns whoever she wants, and it's just been a coincidence that the other people have wanted those people dead at the same time.
That's something that I think you could very well put it to your use. If you want to put Dany as a really bad person, yeah, you can say it like that. Or you can say, well, she freed a bunch of slaves. She, you know what I mean? You could definitely change it to the way you like
Jeff
it.
defended Dany to the end.
I
Two sides
will.
of the same coin. Yeah, I see it.
I will,
But-
for sure.
Yeah, I definitely see what you're saying.
Because if
now.
you could go to every character and say, Tyrion, you shouldn't even be Hand of the King. You've murdered people. You should be dead. Jon, you let wildlings through the wall. You ruined the Night's Watch. You should
You
be
did
dead.
get killed for it, and
Right.
you're lucky I brought back.
So-
Yeah,
There's, you can go through most characters probably and say that.
but as Tyrion says, my father was one of the worst men I know. My sister was one of the worst men I know. If you pile up all the people that they killed, it doesn't come close to how many Dany kills in one day.
Debatable.
And then Tyrion asks
We
Jon,
don't
he's
know,
like,
we
"Would
don't
you
know the
have done
death
it?"
count.
And do you guys get this callback? Tyrion's like, "Would you have done it?" Somebody asked Jon this earlier this season. Sam,
Oh yeah, talking about
killing his parents. Like, would
brother
you have
and
done
dad.
it? And he's like, "I don't know." And that's when he's like, "I don't know. I'm not a king." And Sam's like, "But you are though." And that's when that like reveal happens. And this is the same thing. And Tyrion, it's like, would you have done it? And he's like, I don't know. And he's like, yes, you do. You've been up there on a dragon. Would you have killed all those people? Tyrion's like, you wouldn't have. And he's like, you have to kill Dany, or she's gonna kill you because you're a threat. And he's like, well, if she wants to kill me, that's her choice. She's my queen. Because you can tell Jon puts duty before his life.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think this is like right before Jon even goes to leave is when Jon says love is a death of duty, and immediately I'm like, yes, Maester Aemon, callback. Did you guys know that right away?
I remember. I mean, who else would have?
I remember the line. I didn't know who said it.
I think it was when.
So when Ned dies, Jon goes south and his friends bring him back. But I think when Robb dies is when Maester Aemon tells him this, and then Maester Aemon tells him the story. Like I had to make that choice when Robert killed my entire family, and he like starts shaking. They killed Rhaegar's babies, and he says, "Love is the death of duty," because like that's the only thing that can make you that's the only thing that will make an honorable man go against
his duty.
And Tyrion comes back with the great line, "Sometimes duty should be the death of love," meaning like you gotta kill Dany. Like I know you love her, but your duty calls for her to die after what she just did. And I think that's a great line. And I also like how a lot of times throughout the seasons, Tyrion will be like, a great man once said, blah, 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 blah. And they'll be like, who said that? And he's like, me, just now. So when Jon says, loves at the duty, Tyrion's like, did you just
come up
think
with
of that? Yeah.
There's a lot of good like little pieces.
Are you taking one of my
comic
moves
relief
here?
in this episode?
If they had like if say like 2 years they make a Westeros now and like a 5 years later in Westeros, I bet you there'd be a scene where Tyrion says, "A great man once told me love is the death of duty," and it's just like a callback to Jon Snow saying this.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then I think that's basically it, and Tyrion says, "You're the shields that guards the realms of men. If you got to do what's right. Kill Dany."
The only thing that convinces Jon really is him bringing up
the
his
sisters. Exactly.
This is the one thing I don't agree with Tyrion. Tyrion's like, "Do you think I'll be the last man she executes?" No. Sometimes you gotta fucking kill people.
No. Tyrion means she's gonna kill you because you're the only threat to his throne.
I don't.
He
think
means
that's
like if
how
you
he
don't
said
marry
it, though.
her, then she's gonna kill you because you're the only person who has a better
It's not
plan.
how it came out when he said it, though. Do you think I'm going to be the last man she executes? No, of course not.
I 100% got it that way.
Okay.
That's how I got
disagree.
it. Agree to disagree.
They're just being really tough on my girl, man. Give her a chance. She's been ruler for a fucking day. We don't even know how she's going to be. Trump's been on president longer than she's been fucking queen.
So Jon walks up to see Drogon. Jon walks up to see Dany, and Drogon's under that snow. That's pretty cool, right? And he looks at Jon, and do you think he would have let anybody else by? Like,
no.
if it was like...
And I think that's a huge tell.
Maybe, what's his name?
I don't even think
Grey
so.
Worm.
I think it's got something to do with their blood.
So, yeah, so me too.
Dragon
And there's a
blood.
thing. I don't even know if you guys know this, because it's mostly in, like, the pre-history books that came out, but dragons only have one dragon rider, but once that rider dies, they get another one. Like, Balerion the Dread was only ridden by Aegon, and he wouldn't let anybody else ride him, but as soon as Aegon dies, now his son can ride Balerion. And when his son dies, then his son can ride Balerion. So I was thinking, like, if Jon kills Dany, Drogon might be his.
I thought Jon was about to hop on and post, but let's give this scene
So did I.
the respect that it's due, because we're losing a great one here. We're losing a great one.
Daenerys. Again, I thought she wasn't going to touch the throne because of the Undying vision.
Right. She had to.
Yeah.
And there's way more destruct. Yeah, but she never even got to sit on it. She never even got
Fuck
to
that
sit
throne.
on it.
This is a problem I have with all the people. Like, you're really that geeked up about that piece of shit chair?
Dude, no. So, in the book, I had to show
I know
Ace.
you're going to show us the picture of the huge... All the
the
swords
monstrosity.
I had to show Ace and Hickey this during the when we were watching this. The actual picture of the Iron Throne.
Yeah. No,
Look at that bitch.
You showed me that before.
There's like 20 steps as part of the throne.
It's much cooler.
It's way more badass.
That's how it is in the books. And again, there's some cool scenes with it not being this way. Like Dany saying here, like, when I was a kid, imagine what I thought when I thought of 1,000 blades, and it's probably what it fucking actually looks like in the books.
Right.
But there's another good scene where Littlefinger's here, and Varys says like the 1,000 blades of Aegon's conquerors.
I've counted. It's not that many.
He's like, it's not even 200. Yeah. It still was a pretty fucking cool throne though.
But again, when you become the ruler, it's not for the throne. It's for like everyone in this thing, this realm of people is like the throne is the most important thing. No, being the ruler is, and that's just a symbol. But they get all fucking geeked up about that chair.
It's a symbol. The symbol you need. It's just like the Lambo or Lombardi Trophy, dude.
Nah, fuck that. It's a
totally
trophy. At
different
the end
than
of the day,
the Lombardi Trophy.
yeah, it's.
Because you don't like. One of the things I was thinking was like,
you win the Game of Thrones.
yeah,
It's
but
a
you
trophy.
don't need that to rule. Because I was thinking like,
Right.
say Danny
It could
posts up.
be a chair. It could be a wooden chair.
Say Danny doesn't attack King's Landing there in episode 5. Say at the end of episode 4, she's like, I'm not going to attack King's Landing. Everyone in the Seven Kingdoms is behind me. She's like, I don't care if Cersei has one city in the Iron Throne. I still have the Seven Kingdoms. Like, everybody's still behind me. It doesn't matter where I'm sitting.
She could sit in that chair at Dragonstone and just be chilling.
Exactly. Call yourself.
That's true.
Then just say, I'm queen. This is the new capital. And then you make Cersei come to you. Like,
Right.
I think the Iron Throne is kind of like a symbol of like why people are stupid. And like, you don't need a chair to be ruler. You just
Right.
need to be a good ruler.
I honestly thought she was about to catch an Arya arrow in the back.
in this scene when she's talking to John.
No, when she's just looking at the chair.
Oh, okay.
And John kind of sneaks out of the darkness. I thought she was catching an arrow in the back, which would have been
That
an
would've
awful
been
death.
amazing.
It would have been kind of cool because Arya did it, but
I thought we were gonna get a Jon Snow Grey Worm fight here.
yeah,
I wish we did.
that would have been cool. It'd have been cool if like Grey Worm stabs him in the back of the leg with his spear, kind of like Jaime did to the fucking Lannister guy did to Ned.
Do you think
Yeah, and
there's?
he goes to prison still.
Do you think there's anything
no,
that Danny could say here that gets John to not kill her?
Honestly, no, I don't. Because
Basically,
I believe
the only
Danny.
request
I
he
believed
makes-
everything that she said.
Well, the only request he makes is like, "Please don't kill Tyrion," and she's like, "There's no time for small mercies," is what she says. Like, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Like, the world we built will need sacrifices.
But this is the Danny I remember. Look how happy she was right there. Like they're
Yeah.
just talking, and she's like, "We did it. We
And
here."
I think, and I told you guys in this moment, I was like, "Fuck, this would be a Game of Thrones ending." If John like begrudgingly agrees to be with her,
Because
and-
John's screaming at her, and she's kind of like, "Okay, I understand you're upset, but I did what I needed to do. And now we're here. Let's figure out how we get going." And she laid out her plan, and John seems like he's coming around. But I think in that moment, John's like, "Nah,
watching it back, I don't know how I thought that John wasn't gonna kill her. He's like bawling this entire scene. Like obviously he knows what he's gonna do. I don't know how I didn't. I don't know. The acting's great. Daenerys is like, you're right. Daenerys looks happy. She looks like
She's elated, dude. She's fucking pumped.
I'm pissed we never. So I made 2 major predictions. One, we were never gonna find Jaime and Cersei's body because they were buried under everything. That was
the first
debunked
scene.
in like the first 5 minutes. Yeah, and 2, Dany was gonna be pregnant because there's way too many scenes in the past like 2 seasons that foreshadow that. But I guess those were all for nothing because maybe she was pregnant, but fuck, we don't know. She
never got her period in the show. We don't know, like the books.
Yeah.
It's man, I can't believe he did it.
So again, this is
you son of a bitch.
This is like a Ned Stark. Like, what is the whole time? I don't know.
Such a Jon Snow move.
I kept thinking, like, what does Ned Stark do in this moment? Like, would Ned Stark do this? Would he kill Dany?
I don't know. He spent his whole time his hand keeping her alive.
But Jon Snow is like more Ned Stark than Ned Stark in most things. Like he's
so
more.
Ned Stark hates killing what's it called, like children and innocents, and he would be so pissed.
I think,
Like-
but
John,
also, he's the most loyal person ever. Like he would.
I think John
think-
regrets it. John regrets it from the moment he stabs her till he's dead. He regrets what he did. No doubt about it.
100%.
I don't know, man.
Bullshit. You can see it when he's in the jail cell. And finally, 5 episodes too late, Dany asked John to be with her. 3 episodes ago, we have a happy ending. It's her fault.
I
Timing.
think so.
Timing
I don't
is
think it's
crucial.
regret because like there's a
No,
difference
fuck
between
that.
regret. Like he had to do it. I think he would have done it again if he had. Like if he was in the same position,
The
he
first
would have
thing
done
he
it
asked
again.
Tyrion when he's in jail or as a prisoner, did we do the right thing? And he says, I don't know, ask me in 10 years.
Well, yeah, sometimes it's hard to know. And, like, you again, like,
at that
to
moment,
your point,
he is regretting what he did.
To your point, you
He's
don't know.
questioning
Maybe
it.
Danny
He
would have
is
been a great
questioning
ruler.
it. Right.
Well, of course he regrets it. He had to kill his freaking the love of his life.
Right. And he's
and-
going to regret it and question it for the rest of his life.
All right, so Drogon shows up.
Yeah, Drogon just being a boss.
Yeah.
I thought it was so cute.
Did you think
when he
Jon-
was nudging her?
For a second, I thought Jon
I was
was
about to
toast.
cry.
So when he started nudging Danny, this is when I was like, we're gonna see Ghost, because I was like, there's no way the CGI budget can't afford a ghost pet, but can afford a dragon to push Danny's dead
dragon
body
nudge.
around with its nose. Like, there's no way. So I was like, we're gonna see Ghost again. We have to.
I thought there was a chance that we just continue this Game of Thrones thing and Jon gets burnt to a crisp.
What I thought was, and I would
That
have
would be
hated this
sweet.
because Targaryens are not dragon-proof or fire-proof. People
Right.
think they
He
are,
gets-
but they're not. Like, Jon gets his hand burned in the books. Danny gets her hair
Right.
caught on fire in the dragon pit. She gets burns on her hands. Like, Targaryens are not fireproof. They're fire-resistant, and Danny survives that first fire because of Miriam Abdul's spell. Okay? I thought the show was going to have Drogon roast Jon, and he was just going to be, like, standing there naked.
I mean, Danny
like,
walks
alive.
out of the-
I would have been like, oh, come on.
Danny walks out of the cause tent ablaze and is completely
So-
fine.
So again, I don't think that they thought about this in the show, but in the books, this is definitely going to be a thing. If this happens, what happens when a warg dies?
They
person goes into the animals.
So
They go.
they get a second life in their animal. So like
Yeah.
if Jon dies, he would live the rest of Ghost
True,
life.
Ghost.
Yeah. Do you
as Ghost.
think Daenerys was?
I think Daenerys.
a warg.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I think Daenerys went into Drogon as she dies. Again, maybe they didn't think this far
And
into
that's
it,
why-
and that's
that's
why
why he
he
burned
rose
the
the throne.
throne.
Because why else? And she can't
she
kill
does, like,
Jon because it's Jon. Her
Bullshit, Jon just killed you. I'd have lit that bitch up.
yeah, and I guess Danny wouldn't understand like why Jon did it, but I don't know. I think that would be cool if like I think it makes sense because why else would Drogon burn the throne? He doesn't know what the fuck that is.
Oh, he knows.
So
Drogon
and then
knows.
Drogon takes
He
Danny's body
knows.
and gets the fuck out.
Yeah, I mean, kind of lame.
Kind of weird.
Why drop her in the ocean? Why not have her there?
No, he didn't drop her. He flew off with her.
Yeah,
I think he
didn't drop
drops her.
Nah.
Wait, watch. Are you there?
Yeah,
Is
he's
he
picking her up
flying
right
off?
now.
I think he drops her.
He eats her.
I think he took her to like Dragonstone or Valyria.
I think he drops her in the fucking ocean. Something falls for sure.
Maybe he just takes a dump.
Just a quick dunk.
Have we ever seen Drogon dump?
Nah. Do
We saw
dragons
Tywin's
poop?
horse dump in the throne room.
Dragons don't poop.
I'm locked in to see if he drops her. He doesn't drop her. Yeah, he doesn't drop her. Next thing, we jump forward. It's got to be a couple months. A month. Who knows timeline in the show. Sansa's here now. And so Grey Worm comes and gets Tyrion. He's looking like shit. He's got a big old beard. Jon, they don't bring Jon, but he's got a big old beard when you see him too.
I think they said 3 weeks.
They do say weeks.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, they say it's been weeks.
Okay. I missed that.
But again, it's back to being summer. It's warm as shit there.
Well,
It's
no. I
beautiful
think
out.
I think they when Jon is walking north at the end, there's flowers coming up through the snow. I think like the winter's done. Kill the night king. No more winter.
But it's snowing up north.
Again, let's think of the repercussions of it as ice caps melting. Like in 10 years, when Tyrion says we're gonna come meet again, King's Land will be underwater. There's no winter.
I think there's still going to be a winner, guys.
I don't know, dude. So Grey Worm brings Tyrion to the dragon pit, and we got a cast of characters. We got Sam.
We
We got some
everybody
random
back.
guy sitting next to Sam. We got Edmure Tully. We got Arya. We got Bran. We got Sansa. We got Davos. We got Yara Greyjoy. We got the Dornish, this Dornish dude. Who the fuck knows who this guy is? We got Robin Aaron, who looks like he's aged 20 years.
Yeah, how old is he? Puberty did him well.
We got Lord Royce, Robin Aaron's boy, and then we got another random knight over there. And Yara Greyjoy, right off the bat, is just like hardcore sticking up for Dany. Oh, Gendry and Brienne, too. Missed them. Yara Greyjoy is hardcore sticking up for Dany. Like, yo, lady, do you not... First off, where were you when we were fighting your uncle? And B,
Right.
like, do you not see this fucking city that's probably still on fire 3 weeks later?
Yara's literally done nothing since she's been captured, so shut the fuck up, Yara. but I'm on your side. I'm with you. But then Arya's just like, shut the fuck up. I'm gonna kill you now.
I'm gonna slit your throat if you say shit.
Yeah. So the first thing I'm thinking is, the first thing Davos says is, we'll give the Unsullied the reach. And first, did this like throw any red flags in your head? I'm like, Tyrion has to give. I'm like, Bronn gets Highgarden. I was like, Bronn has to get Highgarden.
I didn't think about Bronn at all because right now Tyrion is.
I guess Tyrion's in chains, so yeah. But I was like, Stannis pays his debts. Bronn's got to end up with Highgarden at the end of this season.
I think this is a scene where it's cool and there's some comic relief in it, but when they get to the point of it, it's the stupidest fucking decision.
When they were saying this, I was like, Jeff is gonna hate this. Jeff is gonna hate this. I honestly thought they were about
to have a democracy with Sam.
But Sam's like, why doesn't everyone vote? And I was like, oh my god, they're going the democracy route, and they all start cracking up. And I was like, okay, that's great.
I'm just like smiling. I was like, is this really how it ends with a fucking vote?
Well, I mean, we thought like that was something that a lot of people like tossed around, and then so Tyrion basically says we have to choose a king, like right now. And I love how Sir Edmure steps up.
What a great minute, or however long it took for him to say why he should be king. Awesome.
Sansa's like, just sit the fuck down.
Sit down.
You put in a thought about a better person to put up there to vouch for himself, and Sansa's like, sit down, uncle.
Again, I don't want to keep going with inconsistencies, but he's a captive. Jaime had him captive, took him to Castle Rock, and then
They won.
But then when Unsullied attacked Castle Rock, Jaime took everyone out of there. Like, he should still be being held captive somewhere. Like, the Freys hold Riverrun. How is he the king, like the Lord of Riverrun again? The Freys hold Riverrun. This doesn't make any sense.
That one it's also been
3 weeks.
He got an army from captivity and killed the Freys.
The one night there is a Frey.
Well, I guess he did marry the Frey's daughter, so maybe they just gave it to him. But I have a hard time believing that.
Whatever. Great guy to just make fun of and just sit the fuck down.
Yeah. So he gets told to sit down, and then this is when Sam proposes the democracy. He's like, "Why just us? Shouldn't everyone vote?" And everyone just laughs in his face.
Maybe my dog should vote.
I'll ask my horse.
Yeah, that's great.
It's awesome.
Nobody gives a fuck.
Now, Tyrion goes off on his rant about stories and bullshit and Bran's story. Whatever. Fuck Bran, man. Fuck him. But then Bran says, why do you think I came this way? So Bran knew his whole fucking time that it was just for him to be king?
Yeah.
That was the whole fucking point
bastard.
of it all, Bran, you son of a bitch. You sandbagging son of a bitch. That's all I'm caring about.
He won the Game of Thrones.
That's the same thing. We watched the El Prez, the head of Barstool. He does like a 1.5 minute reaction thing. Ace was watching it before he left, and that's exactly what he said. He's like, Bran also, like, he says like, oh, why do you think I came? That motherfucker knew he was gonna be king. Like, he wanted to be king the whole time. That's a scheming little bastard. So here's one thing I really like about this. If this is how the show ends, huge potential, because Bran could not. There's a potential for Bran to not be a total shitbag and do nothing in the show, like. At least, so here's the thing. At least we'll get a first-person point of view because Bran is a POV character. So even if there is a Battle of Winterfell, and even if Bran is just sit there warged into nothing for the whole time, we should at least understand what it is. Maybe he was doing something important. Probably not. He was researching wheelchairs from 120 years ago. But but we'll know, at least in the books, we'll know what he was doing.
So they all go around voting. Now, this is what I think.
Your girl Sansa.
If it was her instead of Bran, the North is staying and they're fucking bending the knee. Once it became I to her, oh shit, well we're out. I'm out. I'm the queen of the North, bitch. Like, you're not taking my crown. 100%. Sansa's a selfish bitch.
One thing I do
she
like.
Is a selfish bitch.
One thing I do like about
agree
that,
with that,
though,
100%.
is nobody can take the North. I mean, I agree, selfish bitch, but nobody can take the North. Like, the only time the North ever fell was to Aegon the Conqueror, because he had fucking 3 dragons and you can't stop dragons. If dragons are gone, the North will never fall because you have to come through the neck, and you can't come through the neck from the south.
Yeah. Another thing, quick, we kind of glossed over it. How does Grey Worm not just kill Jon?
Yeah, he definitely would have.
They don't take him as prisoner there.
Yeah.
No. 100%. He was killing Lannisters left and right.
Even
I
right now,
honestly
he's saying,
just
like,
kill
we should
Jon.
kill Jon. We should kill Jon. Like, there
Right.
was a point 3 weeks
You
ago
could
when
have
there was
killed-
no one around to tell you not to kill Jon, and you could have killed Jon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
so-
understand how he got taken prisoner, and I also thought it was pretty cool. I just want to say this quick: if Jon did become Drogon's rider and just completely flipped around, and now he was like, "You're gonna bend the knee to fucking me," and
He burns all the Unsullied.
He was
we're
Mad
running
King
this
Jon.
motherfucker, Mad King Jon.
Mad King Jon.
All right, so basically Bran accepts.
What a douchebag! What a bad king!
Also,
He's got absolute power now.
one
Do you
thing
think
I was
he's gonna
thinking
get corrupted?
is the Red Keep is like up Aegon's High. It's literally called Aegon's High Hill. So it's up Aegon's High Hill, and then up all those fucking stairs. Like, Bran's gonna have a hell of a time.
You know
where's
what I-
Hodor? We need
you know
Hodor
what I-
2.0. How the fuck is Bran gonna get up and down these steps?
They couldn't
Brienne
have.
is Hodor 2.0.
also, is
couldn't have-
Brienne like?
She's Kingsguard.
She's the
what
fucking
is the fuck? What is she wearing?
captain of
Kingsguard
the-
wears white. She's in
She's wearing
gold, and
gold.
Podrick looks like a girl.
And this is
Wear
what
a
I was gonna say.
skirt.
They couldn't have given the job of pushing Bran around to a better fucking knight because
Podrick.
Podrick sucks.
I love
Put your job. That one guy's job was to taste Tommen's food. Your job is to fucking push Bran around. Get the fuck out of my face. And push him up to his bedroom. Fuck out of my face.
Carry him up to his
Pod.
bedroom. You can't push a wheelchair up those stairs.
And this is why when the Hound shows up, he can just cut through 4 Kingsguard at once. Because there are people like fucking Pod.
Because they're just
Pod's
as
a good
Kingsguard.
fighter now,
He
dude.
is a good
Fuck that. No, he's not.
Uh-huh.
You're drunk.
So
You're drunk.
we get to the scene where Tyrion is seeing Jon and he's a prisoner and he's basically like, well, we can't kill you because then the North would go mad. We can't free you because the Unsullied will go crazy. So we're sending you to the Night's Watch. Even though in a week and a half the Unsullied are all going to be gone and would never know
they're all-
anyway.
Right. They're
It
all
didn't make any
floating
sense,
away.
dude. I was like, why?
And also
Why?
the Wildlings are on our in the part of the realm now, and the White Walkers are gone. So the Night's Watch
Is what? It's a
It's just
castle.
punishment.
is where we send, because the thing is, before noble knights used to do that. Like if you were like a 4th born or 5th born son, because you could never do anything, you used to go there because it was an honorable thing. You were defending the realm. Nobody's gonna do that anymore. No honorable knights. So it's literally just gonna be like
It's gonna be
bunch
Jon
of
and the
rapers.
Wildlings. Jon is Mance Raider now.
I think he's gonna be king beyond the wall.
Well, we'll never know, but yeah, I agree too. What the fuck else does he have?
What is the point of the Night's
Why-
Watch? It's literally a group of rapers that we're just letting hang out together. It's like if you it's like if Alcatraz had no prison guards and was not on an island. It was connected to why would anybody that gets sent there stay there?
Yeah, and there's no reason for him anymore. Just kill him.
Yeah, just kill the rapers. There's no Night's Watch.
Kill the rapers. It's literally Jon. It's literally Jon, 200 wildlings, and 3 brothers.
And Jon says that. He's like, why is there a Night's Watch? And Tyrion's like, well, there has to be a place for bastards and broken things. Like,
Yeah.
okay, bastards, but rapers, that's where we send the big criminals. So, okay, whatever. Forget it. Because the end, I like the end, so I'm going to let that slide. Not let it slide. It doesn't make sense, but whatever. Yeah, I'm going to accept that
Doesn't
is
make sense.
somehow
Like,
that's
I'm okay with Jon going back north, but not to be a part of the night. Like, if it's just to be part of the Night's Watch, you got to make it something where you're like the army of up north, like the Coast Guard or something. And all right, if we need you, you need to come back down and help us. But
all right, so real quick, couple things that make no sense. A, somebody pointed this out when they were here, and we kind of passed it. But when Davos promises, he's like, we'll give the Unsullied the reach. You can make your own house, and the Unsullied can be your bannerman. Somebody here was like, you have no cock. Like, you can't make a house if you don't have a cock. Like, what, you hold it for 20 years, and then when you die...
everyone's dead, yeah.
Yeah, so there's no heirs. B...
No, why would the Unsullied care about the reach either?
Here is my biggest problem with this episode. It's like the writers for the show didn't read the book. Grey Worm says they're going where?
Noth.
Noth. Or
If
North.
you are not born in Noth, you cannot live in Noth. There's like an airborne bacteria. Like Missandei says, we're a peaceful people. We don't literally have we don't fight at all. And it's because anytime somebody comes and tries to conquer Noth, after 3 months or 6 months, they're all dead because of this airborne thing. If Grey Worm takes the Unsullied, they're all gonna die in 3 months.
Maybe they're just dropping off
Found out if
Missandei.
you read the books, and like the writers, what are they doing?
They're just dropping off Missandei's head.
In 3 months, Jon Snow can come be king of the Seven Kingdoms because fucking Grey Worm and all the outside will be dead.
With everybody sailing away, who's their army? They don't have an army. They have no dragon. They have no army.
I guess everybody in all the different lords of the Seven Kingdoms are all kind of accepting that Bran's the king. But yeah, like, what's stopping the dude from Dorne who literally hasn't fought anybody the entire series, all 8 seasons, has never been in war. The Dornish have never been in war. They probably got a pretty strong army compared to the rest of the kingdoms right now. They could just take over.
Yeah, they could definitely do that, but I mean,
Right.
at this point, they're ready just to comply, I guess.
Fuck Dorne. I was so happy. I smiled when I saw the guy from Dorne just to piss you off, Nelson.
I was like, they should not have done
I feel like I've been pissed off enough with.
There should have been like a raven that said like there was a huge earthquake and Dorne broke off. They're now like 50 miles out to sea. They're not even part of the. Also, there's the whole thing like Bran is the lord of the 6 kingdoms. There was 9 kingdoms before. Okay, now there's 8 kingdoms. Why? Like if they're gonna rearrange the title to 6 kingdoms,
Right,
why not?
If they're
why
going to
not
include
at least
the
make
Iron
it correct?
Islands, right?
What?
They're going to include the Iron Islands now, and
So the 7 kingdoms was when Aegon the Conqueror took over. The Iron Islands were technically part of the Riverlands. It was all the same
Okay.
lord. So that was one kingdom. Right now we have the North, the Iron Islands, the Riverlands, the Vale, the Reach, the Crown Lands, which is around King's Landing, Dorne, wherever Storm's
The
the
Vale.
Stormlands,
Storm's End.
Storm's End, and the Westerlands, where the Lannisters are from.
Yeah.
Right, so there's 9 kingdoms. Take out the North, you still got 8. But
See, I thought,
nobody just ever counts, I guess.
Well,
Yeah,
I don't think
guess
they count the capital normally.
The Crownlands.
I don't
In the
think
books
do.
they do. In the
In the
books they
books
do.
they do.
House Dustin is sworn to King's Landing. Like they're like the major bannermen around the capital are sworn to King's Landing. But whatever. Who cares? So that we get the scene where Jon talks to Sansa and she's like, "I'm sorry, I couldn't free you," and he's like, "Whatever." And then the scene with him and Arya is pretty good. Again, Arya is like crying that she'll never see Jon again. She's like, I'm going west to west." Like, but you don't have to. That was like
Yeah,
something
like-
you said one time. Like, if you're this upset about it, just don't. Like, nobody's making
I don't
you
think
do
she's
this.
upset about it. I just think she's upset of saying goodbye. But she wants to go.
Also, she's like, I don't know how old she is in the show, but in the books at this point, she would be like, if this all happened, she would be like 16 or 17. Like, you have plenty of time to go west and come back. Like, hey,
Yeah.
I'll see you in 30 years. I'm gonna go on a 30-year voyage is a long ass voyage. Like, she'll be back. She'll be
She
back.
should be
Do you think
back.
it's kind
She should.
Do you think it's kind of weird she didn't say anything to Gendry? Or
I
they
don't
just left it
She
off?
ghosted him. She totally ghosted him.
I like the last thing they had where
That's
she's
not
like, "That's
me."
not me."
Yeah.
I think that was a good ending to their thing. It was weird how they were both in the dragon pit though, and like,
Nothing at all.
yeah.
I mean, I guess we just didn't see it on scene, but
So Jon walks away. He goes north, and we get Lady Brienne reading or turning the pages in.
Yeah,
I really like this part,
yeah. This
I
is a
think it's
part.
good too.
especially like halfway through when you see that she's crying and you realize like how much he fucked her over at the end.
Yeah.
And she's still doing this for him.
I also think it's a good callback to when Jamie was obsessed over his page,
Yeah, so
and
it's
it
even
just
cool when you
said
see.
Kingslayer.
Yeah, so I'm gonna read everything in here because I think this is really awesome.
Yeah, I
And when-
wanted to hear.
She
it all.
writes a fuck ton.
So when she first opens it, you can see there's 2 different fonts. One that was
Yeah.
written before, and then you can see the one that Jamie wrote himself.
Right.
And you can see how much he doesn't care about himself because everything he writes is negative. So it starts off, Sir Jamie Lannister, Squire for Sir Barristan Selmy, against the Kingswood Outlaws, knighted and named to the Kingsguard in his 16th year for the valor in the field. At the sack of King's Landing, murdered his king Aerys II at the foot of the Iron Throne, pardoned by King Robert Baratheon. And then this is where Jamie starts, thereby known after as the Kingslayer. After the murder of King Joffrey I by Tyrion Lannister, he served under King Tommen I. So in Jamie's thing, it literally says that Tyrion is the one who killed Joffrey.
Yeah. That's just gonna be in his history forever.
Yeah. So then the first thing that Brienne writes afterwards is, captured in the field at the Whispering Wood, set free by Lady Catelyn Stark in return for the oath to find and return her 2 daughters. Lost his, and you can assume
Dick?
hand, right?
Lost
That's
his
what I'm
dick?
assuming before she turns the page. So then the next page says, took River Run from the Tully rebels without loss of life, lured the Unsullied into attacking Casterly Rock, sacrificing his childhood home in service to a greater strategy, outwitted the Targaryen forces to seize Highgarden, fought at the Battle of the Golden Road, bravely, narrowly escaping death by dragonfire, pledged himself to the forces of men, and rode to their aid, rode to join them at Winterfell.
Yep. This just shows how much Brienne loved him, because she's inflating what he did.
Yeah. She's making it
lot.
sound way better, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he beat the Tullys, and
Without loss of life.
his
She's
strategy
making it
was
sound-
so...
He did, yeah. I mean,
right, but his strategy was so good. Danny literally comes 10 minutes later and burns half of his army to the ground. Put that in the books. Brienne, you...
All right, so after pledged himself to the forces of men and rode to join them at Winterfell alone, faced the army of the dead and defended the castle against the impossible odds until the defeat of the Night King, escaped imprisonment and rode south in an attempt to save the capital from destruction, died protecting his queen. And I thought this was awesome because a lot of times at least in the books, we get Sir Barristan chapters from his point of view. And he says that, like, basically the only thing that matters for a Kingsguard is dying in
in
protection.
service. Yeah.
Like, he said that even though people claim that he's the best Kingsguard ever, he's potentially the worst because there hasn't been any Kingsguard who has served that many kings
Yeah.
and watched them die, right? Like, he served Aerys,
Right.
watched Aerys die. Robert watched Robert die. So he says, and then at least in the show, because he
sacrificed. He
dies in
protecting
protection.
Danny.
Exactly. So like that shows that Jaime kind of did the right thing. And then again, I think maybe this is up there for best scene in the show with Jon and Tyrion earlier is Tyrion, a small council scene.
Yeah,
Him fixing
Another
all
funny
the chairs.
scene.
So he
Another
fixed all the
funny
chairs, and then Bronn comes in right away and just fucks up the chair, and you just see like the look on his face.
Yeah.
This is a great scene. So we get
This is another
Bronn,
one
Master
where-
of Coin, Davos, Master of Ships, and Sam, Grand Maester. And there's a couple callbacks in this scene that I really like, and really disappointed we never got to hear the punchline of the jackass joke.
Yeah.
Jackass in the honeycomb.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like the fourth time. It's the fourth time you started that joke and never finished it.
That's bullshit.
So first thing that happens is Sam brings in a book and gives it to Tyrion.
That's
Yeah,
Song
this
of
is-
Fire and Ice.
This reminds me of The Hobbit, right?
There and back again.
There and back again, exactly. And it's funny. It's called A Song of Fire and Ice, and I was like, are they really gonna try and say that this guy wrote the books that George did? Because that doesn't make sense because they're like
Yeah.
third person in the characters' heads, and then you get it's not. It's just like a history book.
Yeah.
Because even Sam says like, oh yeah, you're not mentioned.
You're not in it. Which doesn't make sense. He should be mentioned.
Yeah.
Also, why
okay.
would Sam? Why
He's
would
the
Sam
hand
give him
multiple
this
times.
book? Why would Sam give
Yeah.
him this book? You know that's going to be the first question.
Yeah.
Also, but I do like that it's a callback. He says like Archmaester, whatever. It's his like histories of the wars following the death of King Robert the First.
Yeah.
And this is when Sam's in the Citadel last season. The guy says he's like, I'm not writing my histories of the wars after the death of King Robert the First for it to sit on a shelf unread. And he looked at Sam and he's like, what? Don't like the title. And he's like, it could be a bit more poetic. He's like, we're not poets, Tarly. So it's, and then Sam says I helped him with the title to get
Yeah.
Song of Fire and Ice. So first great callback. So then we get everybody comes in and Bran, being just a total weirdo, says like we need Master of Whispers, even though I can literally see everything
Yeah,
happening
I was
everywhere.
like, yeah, why do you need
And,
a Master of Whispers?
And
You
a
want
Master of War.
And Master of Laws. And then he's like, where's Drogon? And Sam's like, we saw him flying east. And Bronn just cuts him off. He's like, further away the better. And Bran's like, I'll find him. And then leaves. Like, what? Why'd you even
Yeah.
show up? Like, why
Yeah,
not
that was
figure out where he
stupid
is and then
wasting
come here?
It was so
What
stupid.
a waste. It would have been cooler if he tried to warg into Drogon. Honestly.
Yeah, that's what I thought
I
he
think
was
that's
gonna
what
do.
he was doing as he leaves. Also, this pissed me off. I'm cool with Brienne and Pod being Kingsguard, but Kingsguard wears white.
Yeah.
What they're wearing Brienne's armor from the begin. Like,
I mean, Cersei's Queen Guards wore all black.
yeah, because they're all fucked up.
Dude, it's Bran's world now, dude. Power's getting to his head. He's changing the King's Guard's appearance.
Bran's such an asshole.
So then we get Tyrion addresses Bronn. He like lists off all his titles: High Garden, Master of Coin, and he's like, "Has your debt been paid?" And he's like, "Yeah, finally." And he's like, "Well, time for you to start turning new one. You gotta get shit done." And we need a Littlefinger. Bronn is no Littlefinger. The crown's gonna be in trouble here.
Yeah, they need somebody else.
So the first thing is that Davos says like we need a new ship. All this shit's going down. Hopefully, the Master of Coin and Lord of Many Titles will be able to help us. And he's like, "Well, we're not here to waste coin."
Pod's such a bitch. I can't get over that. Sorry for interrupting.
No, you're good. So there's another callback here. Is Tyrion says to Sam like, "You got to start fixing the sewers."
Yeah.
Right. Which is like which was Tyrion's
what
job.
He did at Castle Rock.
Oh yeah.
I just don't. Bronn shouldn't be Master of Coin. If he wants to be Master of War, that would make more sense.
Yeah, he should not be Master of Coin.
Bronn's a sellsword. He's taking every fucking penny he can get.
So again, I don't know if you guys caught this callback, but this is one of my favorite ones in this scene. Is somebody says like, "Oh, the brothels are," Bronn says like, "The brothels are burned down. I will invest in like getting new ones." And Davos is like, "No, we need ships. Like this is for we need like new ships." Did this remind you guys of anything? There's an episode earlier when I don't know who it is, but Littlefinger's talking to somebody, and Littlefinger says, "Brothels make a much better investment than ships I found. Whores rarely sink."
Oh
right?
Shit.
I thought he was talking to Tyrion, but I don't think it was Tyrion. I think it
had
was
to be like season 2 or 3.
It's real early, yeah. It's when he's in his brothel. But the whole time I was like, yes, just awesome callbacks, dude.
Yeah.
Again, people are gonna be like, well, what was the point of this stupid scene? Like, why are they arguing about this? But again, like, awesome, sweet callback.
It's just closing up a bunch of characters, though. And this is where I also feel if people waited.
And hold on, this is where we get. I once brought a jackass and a honeycomb into a brothel. And I really thought we were finally going to get an end to that joke.
And we didn't.
So then we get Jeff, what were you going to say?
I think if people waited, a lot of the people who wanted shit to happen, if you just waited until the end, you might have been at least satisfied that there was an end. And not freaking, like, for example, we were all freaking out about Ghost not getting Pet.
Yeah.
2 episodes later, you're going to get him Pet. You know, it would have been coming, but we just freaked out.
Exactly. Kind of like what I said. Like, if we were able to binge this whole season, I think a lot of people would have liked it a lot better.
Yeah.
And it's funny how, like, after everybody was freaking out about that director of that episode said, like, oh, we didn't have a CGI budget for it.
Yeah.
He knew that wasn't true. He knew this was coming.
All this CGI bullshit.
He just said it so that this moment would mean even more, right? Once he said, like, oh, we didn't have a CGI budget, people were like, because after that scene, I was like, oh, no, Ghost and John are going to see each other. But when the director says, oh, we didn't have the budget, I'm like, oh, my God, he's actually never going to see Ghost again.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. And then, so it makes this even, like, a bigger surprise.
Why is Tormund at Castle Black? Why is Tormund at Castle Black? He said he was going back home.
Yeah, I don't know why he was at
Castle Black. I like this. He was waiting for John.
You think he came back?
It's like... No, I think he knew...
What do you mean?
Like, John wasn't going to stay south.
Is John just going north? Is he going... Is he not
he's a wildling.
He's just being a wildling?
Yeah, and I think Tormund knew. Because Tormund says to John, he's like, you don't belong down south. You belong in the north. The true north. Yeah. And I think when Tormund goes to Castle Black, he basically tells the wildlings, like, let's give it a little bit. He'll be here.
I mean, that's very
I think that's kind of what it was. At least that's the feeling I got from it. Very presumptuous of
Tormund Giantsbane, who's drinking fucking old milk and...
But he knows John literally better than anybody else in the show.
Sure.
He knows nothing, dude.
Jon Snow knows nothing. So what do you guys think about the montage of Arya, Jon, Sansa? At the end.
It was good.
I think
Jon
it was good.
With Longclaw, Arya with needle, Valyrian shield dagger.
Sansa with her dress.
Bran with his wheelchair.
Sansa was looking A-okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
I do like, again, I'm not big on the outfits. Like, I don't give a fuck about the outfits, but her outfit has the weirwood leaves.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, the weirwood leaves and
I didn't see
her
them.
breastplate kind of looks like roots and
Yep.
tree branches. Yeah, she's.
Yes. Fucking. She's.
I'll tell you
awesome.
what, Sophie.
And
Hit-
so yeah, it
hit
shows
me up,
Arya going on the
Sophie.
ship. How does Arya convince? I guess she just pays them. Like, hey,
whole-
do you guys
a
want to
whole
go
ship?
to where anybody else who has tried to go here dies? Like the place that nobody
What an
can actually
awesome
go to. You
ship
guys want to
too,
go
by
there?
the way. Her ship is awesome with the big wolf head.
Oh yeah, it's
Uh,
awesome. But I'm just saying, how the fuck did she convince?
Yeah, no, I don't know.
You guys want to travel to where no one's ever been? Okay.
And then we get the ghost pet. This was the only. I thought I was gonna cry a lot in this episode. This was the only time I got teared up at all.
Yeah,
Is when
this was
Ghost starts
good.
licking John's face.
I was a
And we
little
get-
sad with the Drogon nudging Daenerys part.
Yeah.
I was gonna cry, but I was like, oh.
I like how we get the cut right from from Ghost's face to the prow of Arya's ship, which is the direwolf,
Mm-hmm.
and we get to zoom in on Arya's face, her just being a badass with her little Arya smirk. And then John's going north. I think it's a great ending.
I just don't understand why they sent him to the Night's Watch. It just didn't make sense.
Doesn't
Yeah, I
make
mean
sense.
the whole Night's
He
Watch
doesn't
thing doesn't
stay.
make sense, but
He doesn't stay there. He's going north.
the fact that he's going to be like a wildling.
It would have been cooler if they told Grey Worm and the Unsullied, we're just gonna keep him as our prisoner. Go do what you have to do. He'll be here, and then set him free. And said you have to stay. You have to go
Yeah.
to Castle Black, and you've got to stay north.
Like nobody can ever see you again. You have to go north of north, something
Right.
like that. That makes more sense.
Yeah, like exiled, kind of.
Yeah, but the whole time he's going north, I was thinking of that scene when he was with Ygritte, and they're in the cave, and she's like, "We should just stay in this cave forever." Like John doesn't. The last thing John wants is to be in charge of people, and now he just gets to go and be a dude, right?
King
Just
beyond
live
the
his
wall.
life and just like this is what John wants. This is the best ending John could have hoped for, right?
yeah. At the end of the day, he probably would have rather just been with Ygritte and not have done anything.
Everybody who's alive except for Bran and Tyrion. I think Tyrion says he doesn't want it, but this is what Tyrion does.
Tyrion wanted this all along, and I was going to say this before the council room. He knew what the fuck he was doing. He was still playing the game and playing strings so that he would end up being the hand. When Bran says, "Oh, you're gonna be my hand," "Oh, I don't want to be it." Bullshit, Tyrion. You're
Yeah, you
doing
do.
exactly what you fucking
want
want.
it, you piece of shit.
Yeah.
He wanted to go to Winterfell with Sansa. That's what he wanted.
So, do you think when Tyrion meets with Bran in like episode whatever it is, 1 or 2, Bran's like, "Yo, Tyrion, here's what's gonna happen. Arya's gonna kill the Night King. You guys are gonna go south. Dany's gonna go crazy. Then once you're in jail, you gotta say I'm gonna be king. Everyone will go. I'll warg into each one of them and say I. Because who the fuck knows Bran didn't do that? He wasn't just like into Sam, I, into Royce, I, into
But then we're
not for warg ever. I was like, he's just gonna warg into everybody and be like I. Like, he
but we're
could.
saying then that he can see the future, and if he can just see the future, then nothing matters. Everything's
But
pointless.
what was the point of him meeting with Tyrion earlier?
I don't know.
And he just told him his story.
We don't even know if
maybe
Bran
he was
told
like,
him anything.
maybe Tyrion, maybe he was just like, hey, if the time comes, name me king, I'll name you hand. I got you.
I got you, dog.
Like one of those deals. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they always said it was going to be a bittersweet ending, and I think it's a Game of Thrones ending. It's not like a hoorah, yeah, go Dany, go Jon.
Yeah.
It's like a, well, fuck, that's kind of, I don't know, but I think it's
Yeah.
a Game of Thrones ending. I think it was pretty good. A good episode at least.
Good episode. I still am wondering how the season's going to fit into the whole series. When I will go back and rewatch the whole thing again, so when I just can watch through it, and how am I going to feel? I don't know. I'm still really up in the air about this season.
Yeah, I need
Yeah.
to rewatch it, see how it is.
I thought people were going to be really mad about this episode. We'll see. We'll see some reactions. I think it was a pretty good wrap up overall, and maybe it'll make
Yeah.
some people not hate the episode as much. But
Or I hate the whole season as much.
yeah,
I think you're still
I
going
saw
to
a
get
lot
the
of-
people who...
I did see a lot of tweets right before we started recording that said like, "I'm going to sign the petition right now" and shit like that. So I
Yeah,
don't know,
so
maybe
did I.
not, but
And, okay, go sign the petition. What the fuck are they going to do? They're
not
not
gonna
writing
do
it.
Yeah,
yet.
no.
I think they did the same thing with The Last Jedi.
yeah. I mean, I saw a picture. It was like, this is this is the result of kids growing up getting participation trophies for everything, and then it was
Yeah.
a link to the petition.
Yeah.
And I was like, it exactly is. Like, oh, I didn't get what I wanted, blah, blah, blah. It's like, shut the fuck up.
Right. And you're still going to get the people who are, oh, but Daenerys' character arc, she would have been better to...
Yeah, it's
Go-
like, oh,
go
you
fuck
ruined
yourself.
their character arc. You ruined Jaime's
Go fuck
character arc.
yourself.
Like,
The
no,
character
that is
arc-
Jaime's character arc.
The character arc keeps going until they're fucking dead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's when it's fucking over.
Yeah, like, Jaime's character arc is more in-depth that he goes back
Because
to.
he went back. Yeah,
He
I
tried
agree.
his best and he couldn't. You know?
I agree with you. I think that's the one people had the most
Problem
trouble with was Jaime.
The Jaime,
Yeah.
yeah. And again,
I have
so
the most problem with Bran. Just being
so
a
one thing to
douchebag.
any fans who maybe are disappointed, I recommend the books. It's a big commitment. Each book's like 1,000 pages. But if you like the show, I think you'll like the books.
And
There's
it's
a
a
lot
good
in the
read.
books that's not in the show. There's very little in the books that doesn't make sense. People have tried to find inconsistencies, and they can't. I think the only other inconsistency in the books is Renly's eyes are blue in book 1 and green in book 2. But then in book 3, somebody references Renly as having blue-green eyes. So, like, somebody
He
wrote to
saves
George and was
himself.
like, hey, you fucked up Renly's eyes. They're different colors. So then
Yeah.
he, like, says, like, oh, they're hazel, blue-green. to
They're
kinda cover-
bluish, greenish.
Besides that, there are no inconsistencies in the book. And that's what I really like. If you are a fan of this, check out the books.
And if you like the show and you can read at all, read it. I didn't read much chapter by chapter, so about 20-page bursts. And that's when it gets really long.
Yeah, first book, some of the chapters are like 8 pages, like real quick.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
a really easy read, and you're gonna want to read it just like you want to watch this bullshit. And
Yeah, so there'll be
and
parts
you're
when you
gonna
read,
fly.
like if you're reading the book, there's parts when you get to a Catelyn chapter followed by a Sansa chapter, and you're like, ah, fuck. But there's also parts where it's like 11 o'clock, you start to read a chapter, and you don't go to sleep till 4 a.m. Right? There's some times that are a little slow,
might
but
be a
there's some
little bit
fucking
of a reach,
page turning parts in that book, and as a whole, that series is awesome. Give it a chance.
And I can't wait for it to come out.
And that's the end of Game of Thrones. As we said earlier, our watch has ended.
And now our watch has ended.
And you shall never see our like again until next week for our next
Until
podcast.
next week.
Until next week.
See y'all then.
All right, have a good night, everybody.